have attention deficit, OCD, un-OCD, unobstructive commentary disorder. That my captain and the sheriff used to really, really love.
I'll try to keep my sarcastic BS comments to a minimum.
Oh boy.
What happened?
Yeah, the favorite tale that everybody likes to tell is I got put behind a desk to do desk duty. And one of the things that happens is when it gets cold down in Texas, people come in and start looking to see if they have open warrants so that we'll arrest them because it guarantees them 3 hot and a cot. And this one guy came in. I could see his cart of stuff outside on the patio and looking to see if he had a warrant for his arrest. And I'm like, no, man, you don't. He said, well, what would I have to do to get arrested?
I guess there is.
And I said, well, you could assault somebody. He says, well, are you a peace officer? I'm like, yes, I am.
Luckily, the temperature is going to be up.
Well, it's over.
Knocked 5 teeth out of my mouth.
Supposed to be over 32 degrees.
So yeah, that is one of the few times that my mouth has gotten me into major trouble. And yeah, speaking when it probably shouldn't, when I should probably let the rest of the brain engage as to, is this something that should be said? Saying it and should be saying it are 2 different things.
I'll text you.
I am going to get out of some of this other stuff.
I know that the NDOT trucks are out. So seen a couple of them all
Okay.
here.
So I think we are pretty much on time for starting wise.
Starting what was?
The actual meeting.
What's
I'm not taking the interstate. I'm going Emerson, Brookville, Shaden.
That's just us, getting to chit chat around.
And earlier it was just
It's just the
the
walkthrough.
walkthrough outside.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're catching Matt up onto what's actually happening. So what I have on the agenda is what is Space Station Requiem? How are we tied to Guilds of Requiem? How are we tied to Starfleet Command? What is our command structure? Who qualifies to be a senior staff member? What is rank? How do I earn rank? How do I display rank when we are dressed up? And for us, that's kind of different because while we are in the Star Trek universe, we're kind of in our own universe. And those who are in our private group saw that we have designed our own uniforms to reflect this. We have opted to do an annual review of our charter. And then we're going to go through the events that we have coming up, one of which is BantuckyCon, which is the Saturday, October 23rd. That we will do monthly meetings on the 3rd Saturday along with their time, and how our online gaming sessions will work. So Space Station Requiem in real world is we are a multi-genre fan club that's situated in the hill country of Texas. We originally started in Corpus Christi, went in dry dock for a while. I actually started doing activities with Space Station Requiem a good 1.5 to 2 years before I requested with Starfleet Command to pull us out of dry dock. So because of that, our parent organization is actually Guilds of Requiem Incorporated, where we are under the Crafters Guild and then the sub-guild of the Gamers Guild. And their motto is we're the curators of fun. And so we have become the gateway to adventure in the hill country. What does our Space Station Requiem members do along with the Gamers Guild? They are our volunteers and activity coordinators at Guilds of Requiem events. Plus they host their own event of BantuckyCon. Our primary affiliation is with Starfleet Command, but we do enjoy membership in several other national and international fan clubs. I personally have membership in Starfleet Command, the Klingon Assault Group, the 501st. I would have to actually go look at my Excel spreadsheet to see where all my memberships are. But I know we have a lot of dual members between Starfleet Command and Starfleet International. And as such, we ask people to remember that everybody is a fan. Where are we in the fictional universe? During the Dominion War, we were constructed as a Sentinel space station to an interdimensional rift in space. We had a lot of discussion as to how did this rift occur. I am slowly starting to reveal how the rift happened and how long it's actually been there. It was once the Draconis Nebula that is near the worlds of Alos and Troyes in the Star Trek universe of the Alpha Quadrant. A lot of that has to tie into my main character and her being a descendant of Alos and from there. There are Alaceans and Alasians. One of them is from the planet of Alos, and the other one is from the planet that is all lithium crystals that have to have the anti-grav suits because they're used to almost no gravity. So the cool thing about the rift is it allows random things from different times and space to come through. So this allows for fandom crossovers. When we did our initial storyline, our first thing that came through the rift was this blue phone box. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, really? You started out with Doctor Who? It's like, well, it was fun. We write purely for fun. The Jadesh inhabit the rift. They're known by many names. They're known by the Shadows. They're the descendants of the Cthulhu, Harbingers of Death. Basically, they're a pure evil that can infect a soul. So at the end of our first little new installment, we were introduced to the fact of shape-shifting humans that are actually dragons in their true form. And they were not aware of this until Montelungo came through and introduced us how to do it. So because of this, we have a duality of membership. Yay, there's Jeff.
Yay, I was just gonna message him.
So our primary is under Guilds of Requiem. And the main reason that we did that is because even though Starfleet Command has been around a really, really long time, there's always that chance that for some reason it'll go away. And we still wanted this club to exist. So it means we have a public group that anybody can join without having to be a member of Starfleet Command or Starfleet International or any of the other organizations. They're welcome to come in and just enjoy a multiverse fandom. It gives us hey, Jeff, glad you can make it. It gives us that's okay. We're going flow onto the meeting. So it gives us a specialized department and guild to run specific features that are a part of our primary parent organization, and it helps create community within a community. Under Starfleet Command, it gives us access to larger fandom of similar individuals. It gives function and form to the organizational structure and becomes a bonus for longstanding members of Guilds of Requiem and vice versa. Anybody who is in Starfleet Command that is a part of Space Station Requiem is able to take advantage of the Guilds of Requiem network. Our leadership structure.
Texas one.
Pardon?
Oh. Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay, somebody's phone call. So the commanding officer is also a Space Station Requiem, also needs to be a member of Guilds of Requiem.
Let me know they canceled.
That has a lot to do with needing to be able to understand both of the. Paula, I'm going to mute you here. Yes. It has to do with being able to understand both organizations because we have to function under both organizations. It falls under the Gamers Guild of Requiem, which is our curators of fun. And that is under our Crafters Guild and or the Resources Guild, depending on the skills of that guild master. Mikey, who is in the background with me, she is our Crafters Guild master. So if I wasn't the president of Guilds of Requiem, I would be under her in that structure. Even though I'm the leader of Space Station Requiem, I still fall under her. So what also helps with being in Starfleet Command is it gives us a paramilitary structure of handing a commanding officer a second command, departments based on the need of the chapter. It helps gives a division of responsibilities, so we don't have one person trying to run it all. And it helps us use the rank system to reward participation. So we kind of broke down our real world duties by our departments. Yeah, there's some more that we added based on our deal, but we put them under the command structure. So basically, we ask the questions: who runs the station and is responsible for every decision made? That is the command department. As the commanding officer, I am responsible for entering any contracts, if there's any finances involved. taking care of all the members and networking with the community. Anything that all of my department heads do, the commander needs to be able to do themselves, or at least be willing to attempt. Executive officer needs to be the same way and able to step up should the commander for some reason not be able to fulfill their duties. So who lets everyone know about Space Station Requiem? That is our communications department. And right now that is Jeff, that is Janet, and Mikey. Who keeps us going with all of our local general members? That's our engineering department. We decided that a spaceship as huge as we are, I don't know if any of you have seen our concept sketch, but we're looking at 353 decks in the central core, plus several pods that are several decks high. It's a very large station that houses almost 2 million people in our fantasy world. So it takes a lot of engineers. So we decided that anybody who was local, that didn't know what department they wanted to be in, they would be in our engineering. So who's got our back at events? These are our support teams, our support network. This is going to be our Marines department. They're the ones that help with making sure that the area is set up prior to an event, that its cleanup is done. They help us find locations, everything else. Who is keeping an eye on our safety and those local resources? We've tasked that to our medical department to be kind of our local resources and charity department. What they also keep on hand when we have a physical event is a binder of emergency contact information of the members who are participating. With me being disabled, with Jeff being disabled, and Robert being disabled, I think almost half of my crew has some sort of disability or medical condition that we have to be aware of, especially in South Texas. When we did UFO Con, it was 120 degrees. And we did it outside because of COVID. Everybody was canceling all the indoor events. So we decided, let's have one outside. You know, you can socially distance as much as you want outside. We just didn't count on breaking heat that weekend. And as such, we did have some people who got heat exhaustion. We did have to call the paramedics one time, and it helped knowing, okay, this person has these medical conditions. So we have tasked our medical department with keeping on top of that at events. So who knows it all? This is our operations department. They are kind of like our third in command. They are the ones who need to understand how Starfleet Command works and how Guilds of Requiem work, because they are kind of like our member care team. When we have new members coming in and they don't know who to ask a question to, we want to direct them to our operations department. We kind of had a little bit fun on this one on who creates global community hell-bent on doing good. While our medical is local, sciences is long distance. They look at long distance resources. They look at long distance charities that are not geographically bound for participating. So that's going to be like our pop tabs for Ronald McDonald House. Anyone, anywhere can collect them, turn them in, report to the science department, get credit. Coupon
Please keep in
cutting.
mind also
Mhm.
with your pop tabs, make sure you put those on your SPAR report.
Our report. Yep. What about box tops for education? We have some people who are collecting box tops for education.
That would be local. But
That would be local?
pop tabs are a fleet-wide, they're fleet.
Okay.
So there's a difference in the two
Okay.
between fleet and regional.
Okay. Because we allow any of our members to collect the box tabs, and they tell us this is how many I've turned in, you know, provide whatever receipt. So that is good to, do you need a piece of paper so you can take some notes? To mark down that when we do that is a reporting to Starfleet.
So pop tabs are
Starfleet.
global.
Yep.
And
Pop tabs
the
are
box
global, box tabs are they consider it local. Okay. So biggest thing, we are in a chapter without all of our members counting. We determined that our search and rescue group is going to be any member that is outside of the greater San Antonio area. I think we kind of set maybe a 50 or 75 mile limit. If it's reasonable for them to come drive to an hour meeting, 2 hour meeting, 3 hour meeting, it's worth their time, then we're going to probably consider them a local member. Now, the people down in Corpus Christi that are still members, obviously it's a 4-hour drive to where we're at west of San Antonio. We're counting them in our search and rescue. Jeff up where he's at is, if he had not decided to be communications, would be search and rescue. Christopher Michael in Houston is search and rescue. And we've got, I saw Tigger logged in. She's long distance as well, but she has chosen a specific occupation. And so she's in a specific department. So our last one is the group that has the 411 on location. And this is our security department. We kind of want them to be our experts on where can we hold events. We did a walkthrough up front of where our marketplace used to be, that we determined it's going to be too much work for us to be able to hold 1 or 2 events here. So anybody in security is going to help me try to find a location. I'm the only one, as the commander, I'm the only one who can enter a contract, but I can send out my security scouts to scout out a location. So some of the things that we have determined are responsibilities of the staff over the course of the past, I think, year and a half now that we've been back in Starfleet Command, but also since we started Space Station Recon back up by itself in 2018, is what were some of the responsibilities we wanted from people and what kind of qualifications were we looking for in our senior staff. One of the biggest responsibilities is to help keep track of members in their department, specifically promotion points and contact information. It makes it so much easier for me when I go to do the SPAR or when we go to do our biannual or semi-annual promotions, for them to say, okay, I've got this person who's reached the marker versus me having to go in and do all the adding up myself. They also become their subject matter expert on departmental duties. So I would expect Jeff to understand everything about communications. I would expect Tigger to understand everything about science. That's kind of what we're looking for. They have taken the departmental exam with Starfleet Academy. We did add that when we came back to Starfleet Academy, and we're giving them 90 days to show completion of that. We ask that they be actively involved with Space Station Requiem and or Guilds of Requiem. And this is because they are kind of a leader. We want them to lead by example. And if they're actively participating, then other members are going to actively participate. So we're also asking them to step up and help with recommendations for promotion, which we do twice a year. I need to change that it's a semi-annual, not biannual. We just decided that instead of going through this little argument and debate that we had back in December of who is eligible to be promoted and who wasn't, because one record showed one date and another record showed another date and a third record showed a third. We just decided, you know what, we're only going to give out promotions in January and July. We'll promote it. We'll give the recommendation in December to be effective for January.
No.
It's going to make life easier for us, less complicated. So the qualifications that we ask for of our senior staff, they need to have either been a guild master or a project master of Guilds of Requiem. And that's really important for us because of the duality in nature that we have of our parent organizations. They do have to be a member of Starfleet Command. That also ties back to senior staff really needs to be a member of Starfleet Command as well. They can be a member of just Starfleet Command that has taken all the prerequisite courses as deemed by Starfleet Command. We will allow that because we will gladly educate people on what it means to be a part of Guilds of Requiem. We ask that they be able to communicate clearly and concisely. Do I want them to be able to give a speech on a moment's notice? No. Do I want them to be well written and composed? Understanding the difference between there, and there is a really important thing. We are asking that they also attend our quarterly senior staff meetings. They will be online, and we do ask that they participate and lead by example. So departmental reporting. Our future meetings are this would normally be where I would have my different department heads come up and say, this is what we got going on, this is what's going on. But since this is our first one, since we've reorganized, our future meetings are going to occur on the last Saturday of the month quarterly, unless we need to meet more frequently. I really don't see the need. So if everybody gives the group consensus to not have a meeting on October 30th, right before Halloween, when everybody's trying to have fun with Halloween, we'll move it to November 6th. But when it gets closer to that and people know their schedules, then we'll discuss it then. I do need for my senior staff to give me a time of day that works best for everyone. I know we have some people who work weekends. We have some people who have day jobs. They have evening jobs. So I want to try to, I'm going to put a poll in our private group asking to give a time of day that works best for them.
I
So
like those polls that you've been putting out.
Yeah, it really helps getting feedback versus me trying to reach out to everybody individually and saying, hey, what's your, because then I forget. If I'm having a bad cognitive day, I can't even say my own name. Whereas if I've got it written down and in public for other people to see, then I'm better likely to remember that I've done that and what needs to be done.
Good
So
for you.
future meetings, we'll have a departmental reporting at this time, but for right now, what are some directions that we can give our different departments? I know we just brought up pop tabs for the science, box tops for education. That's some good charity work for us to do. Ed, Rose, what are some other charities that Fleet participate in?
Yeah, it's very deep. Very, very deep.
Sorry, somebody knocked on the door and we had to mute in order
That's okay.
to kill the dog barking.
Yeah, dog bells, they're great.
As far as departmental direction, you need, when you fill out your SPARs especially, you need to be reporting, somebody needs to be taking count of who attended the meetings, when your meetings were. I know that with COVID, everything has become so much more difficult.
Yeah.
But when you start having those in-person meetings, you still need to have that same information.
Yeah, what we do for that when we have the in-person meetings, especially our events, is I have a sign-in sheet, and if they want credit for being there, they need to sign in. At the events, for every hour that they volunteer, we put their name in a drawing to where we will pay their Starfleet member renewal.
Right.
So
And
that's a good motivator to make sure they
incentive.
sign in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to keep in mind that when the Admiralty Board sits down to look at yearly awards, we look at those SPARs and let's just say, for example, and I'm not saying this has ever happened, but I'm just saying as an example, you sent in Jeff you nominated Jeff for Officer of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to that SPAR report and we don't find his name ever listed in there.
It's not going to happen.
You got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, then hypothetically, Rose, what about the distance issue? You are considering that as well.
Oh, right. But you can still attend online meetings. You can do multiple things. It's not just meetings.
Yeah.
It's you being involved in the club.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got
three different.
Yeah, whenever when you did that LinkedIn tree, I put that in there. When you've made updates to our website, when you've made postings on behalf of promoting the chapter, I'm putting that in there. So I do record all participation that I'm seeing. In our public groups, I'm looking to see which are members that are actually posting in there.
I just feel bad that I'm not there. That's nothing.
We'll eventually be able to fix that when we have, right property for the guilds.
Okay.
Jeff, I have got 5 different members right now. Okay, I don't have because it's not my ship anymore. But Mighty Mississippi has 5 different members that are long distance. They cannot be with us every time we get together. And even going online, doing Zoom meetings, that type thing, they can't be there every time. But I make sure that they are listed on that SPAR report for the times that they are there.
Yeah.
And also, when you go onto Facebook and go to the Starfleet Command page, when you make listings there, make sure that your communication officer and your commanding officer know that you are posting to that. Don't just leave it out there and hope that somebody sees that you're doing this.
Yeah,
let them know,
we've
because-
created hashtags that I can track. that our
Okay, but
communications track.
yeah, and that's the thing right there. We need to know who's actually active in any way, shape, or form. You have the younger group, which are under 16, and some of them have access to Facebook. Some parents don't allow that. But at the same time, if they're sitting back there and pointing out to mom and daddy, hey, you should add this, then they should get credit for it.
Yeah.
You know?
I try to keep our kids involved as much as they can, as much as they want to. They do a lot of the back office type things, helping create things. I turn to them for ideals. That's kind of how I try to keep our younger members involved.
I
And
do
that's
know
and
Robin
they should
told
be
me
getting
that,
they should be getting credit for that.
Yep.
On your SPAR, even
Yes.
though it's not something that we're going to see. They didn't send in something to Facebook. They didn't, but they are helping out, and that's what we need to see.
I do know Robin told me that several people have joined due to social media, so that made me feel good.
Oh yes.
Yeah, since Jeff has started helping, our public group has grown.
What? I was gonna get up and stretch a minute anyway.
So.
Yep.
Okay,
I just saw a new member come in today or yesterday.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually it was today. I actually tried submitting it earlier in January, because and actually I went ahead and I gave Jeff credit for it because he ended up being our member of the year, and as a member of the year, we pay for their membership. And he had renewed his membership before he saw the email that, hey, I'm paying your membership. So he said, well, give it to the next deserving person. So that's what we did with Desiree. So
Cool.
Jeff gets the credit for recruiting her.
I'll just pass it on.
Yep.
I saw that on the new member app. So we record that, and you definitely do get credit for it, for sure.
So yeah, and then anytime that somebody's responding to one of the other social media posts, I'm real bad about forgetting that there's other social media out there besides Facebook. Jeff lets me know. So we do keep good in being in communication, and we're starting to work on the website. So the next thing that we had talked about is our rank system, and we do use
Okay,
the
and I
established
want to, could I go back
Sure.
to the
Sure.
participation point one more time?
Sure.
How many of you have seen the newsletter, the recent one?
Ours got drowned in the mail that I need the electronic copy. Our mail carrier had a wet issue.
Okay,
Okay.
you should already have an electronic copy. Those
Electronic
actually come
copy?
out first. But
That's what I
I
read.
don't recall seeing it, but I'll look for it.
but what I'm getting to here is, when you have an event or when you have something going on, something you want to advertise, make sure that whoever your communication officer is gets that information to the newsletter editor.
Okay.
Now you got to keep in mind that the newsletter only comes out 3 times a year.
Okay.
So
So we
You might
need to
have
get
to
we
be-
need to get VanTuckyCon to them ASAP.
right, well, the next newsletter will not come out until April.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, if the event is shortly after that, then yes.
Okay.
What are the deadlines, Rose?
Pardon?
What are the deadlines? If it comes out in April, when does
Your
it need to be
your
in?
deadlines are basically going to be, and this is basically going to be March 31st, July 31st,
October 30th.
November
November.
31st.
Yes.
Those are going to be your deadlines. And the reason
mark
for
that
this
down, Robin.
is the newsletter comes out in April, August, and December. And the editor has to have time to lay it out and get it in there.
Thank you.
All right. So,
Real quick, Robin,
yes, sir.
the newsletter is available. I believe it's available to download from the,
From the
if you go out
website.
from the website now. But I
Okay.
will mention, I don't mean to do this publicly, but since you brought it up, you unsubscribed from a mailing list. So that's why you didn't get one in your email box.
How did I do that?
So if you want to get back on it, I'll figure out a way. I don't know if I have to use a different email address or if I can resubscribe you by going in and deleting you and then adding you back. But if you want me to, I'll put you back on.
Use my personal email address, because Space Station Requiem is like station business versus, personal.
Okay. Okay. And there is a limitation because we use the free version of that distribution software that
Okay.
you can't just unsubscribe from one specific campaign. So you'll get SPAR reminders and the newsletter. If you decide you want to, unsubscribe from the SPAR reminders because somebody else is doing it, you unsubscribe from everything. And that's
Okay.
just because of our budget. If we had a
Yeah, I totally
I could,
understand budget. We're on Wix, and yeah, I just got reminded that I can only send out so many email campaigns a month.
okay. Yep.
And that and they don't get an option of what they unsubscribe from. If they unsubscribe from everything. So I'm not quite sure how we did that, but
Okay, well,
that's good to
I
know.
don't want to take up too much of your time on this, but if you want to send me your personal email address to COC, or if you just
and Mikey was saying that she didn't receive the newsletter either.
okay, I will look into that. And if you are on the list and for some reason didn't get it, or possibly if you have a shared email address, or if we didn't get an email address when you signed up, that would be
I might. Does the link get dropped onto the Facebook group? And I just missed a posting?
No, we don't put it in the Facebook group. We say that it's being published, but the way we kind of work it, because of just to kind of give more of exclusivity to Starfleet Command members, we'll say, okay, we sent out the newsletters available. If you are a paid member of Starfleet Command, it should be in your mailbox today. And then later I upload it to the SFC website, but I don't really make a big deal about it because, the people that are on the group, the Facebook group, there's 1,000 people on there, but we only have 500 paid members of Starfleet Command. So they need to take an active role to go search it out and get the newsletter.
Yeah, they need to go find it. We're not handing it all to you.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the next thing that I had on my agenda was what the rank system is. We do follow the established rank system of Starfleet Command. I know Starfleet says that I can probably promote further, but my personal decision that we have wrote into our chapter bylaws, our charter, is that anything that's a captain or over, and I'm not talking Marine ranks because that's a whole different can of worms. I'm just talking about the regular officer ranks. If somebody's to the point where they're ready to be promoted to a captain, I'm going to put that through Starfleet, no matter what. I will ask Paul and whoever else for their recommendation, and and let Starfleet make the decision. As I'll say this person's ready, and then I'll let Starfleet tell me whether they're going to get promoted or not.
And you also have to keep in mind, please, that anything above captain requires an Admiralty Board vote.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Good. Yeah, she's ghosting us. That's okay. That's funny though. But people ask me, how is rank earned? Posting through public group, taking Starfleet Academy courses, promoting the organization at appropriate opportunities. We're going to be adding in that if they want to run a game on our Discord server, or if they want to take a shot at running a meeting, that can also get them extra points. Creating and running an activity that encourages participation and keeping current and future members engaged. That all of those tasks are not geographically bound. They are all things that you can do no matter where you're located. So we wanted to make sure that we pointed that out, because we are starting to encompass almost all of Texas with our membership base. And anybody who's had the misfortune of trying to drive through Texas knows that
Yeah.
that's a big area.
I saw
And
that
your
when-
communication officer also.
No,
Jeff,
what-
if you've taken that position on, please keep in mind that, just reaching out via email is very,
you got all
very
this
important, especially now.
in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got our Wix and we can do email campaigns through there, so everything else is cool. The biggest question I get asked is how do we display our rank? And we have determined that if you already have a Canon uniform, that you're going to follow the protocol based on the uniform that you have. We are in no way, shape, or form requiring anybody to have a specific uniform, though we are going to start making our own uniform.
do it.
That's kind of a mock-up that I have down below. It's a jacket that will be over a mock turtleneck tunic. A lot of the departments decided that they wanted to do more than one color on their jacket. But we have decided that at the top of the lapels, there is a couple of, let me see if I can get my mouse here. We have a couple of tabs of material that's it's a biker jacket. It's kind of a nod to us being a part of Thunder in the Hill Country every year for the past several years now, that we went with a biker jacket design. But we have opted that instead of trying to display the rank here on the collar where it irritates a lot of people's necks, we're
No
going to have
kidding.
it up on their shoulders. And then of course we will, I'm contracting with somebody to try and help make us our own comm badge that has our Tree of Life on it. More than likely what's going to happen is I'll just buy something that someone else has already made and use a decal to add our Tree of Life onto it. But that is to kind of distinguish us as Space Station Requiem. As our Space Station Requiem events, we have BantuckyCon coming up October 23rd of 2021, and our theme this year is "And Rednecks Shall Inherit the Earth." When we were talking at UFO Minicon, we had a lot of people tell us that they felt that we had kind of narrowed our focus down way too much, having just UFO and paranormal discussions. They didn't feel that it was our normal inclusivity that we're known for. So we kind of got to talking about, every time that you see a post-apocalyptic movie or alien invasion or anything else, it's the rednecks that are stepping up to take control of the situation and save the day. And there's a joke out here that Bandera County is kind of Bantucky. Because we've got a lot of rednecks that could live in Kentucky, but they're not. They're here in Bandera, so they're called them Bantuckians. And so we kind of made a group decision to call our annual convention the BantuckyCon. Oops, it missed my. There we go. I had some out of line. It's going to start at 10 a.m. With it being at the end of October, we should be able to do an outdoor convention. Like we talked a little bit earlier, we're going to kind of start scouting around, send security out to start scouting around at different locations that are going to be affordable. Because I really, it is a fundraiser for Space Station Requiem. But if we're losing all of any funds that we take in from vendors to paying the location, well, then that's not really beneficial for us. It does open the door for all fandoms, cosplay, including paranormal and UFO. We are looking at other local organizations to help fill the volunteer roles. Jan said that she's going to reach out to the Masamune with Starfleet International, and we've reached out to the local 501st. We also have Cosplay Heroes and Villains. We've got 4 different dance tribes that all want to be a part of it. I'm looking for an astronomy club to actually do the stargazing after dark. Depending on where we are at, we may or may not be able to do our annual showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The last couple of years, have been very tame. The first year, I was the only person who knew when to do different things, and I had a 4-year-old talking my ear off the entire show. This year, Mother Nature decided to grace us with 40 degrees. We were outside. None of us were prepared for it to drop down to 40 degrees. As soon as the sun went down, we had told that it was going to be overcast and that it should stay in the upper 50s to lower 60s. And the next thing we know, it was 40 degrees, and we still had an hour of the show left to watch. So a lot of the prompting that happened that time was everybody sitting there like little Eskimos going. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find a local acting troupe that can help liven up our showing of it if we're allowed to show it. I am looking for subject matter experts to help host panels, and of course, we are also always looking for entertainment. Our online events will have a monthly Zoom meeting. It will remain on the 3rd Saturday of the month. We are going to move it to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. That seemed to be the popular vote that I was getting from the different groups. We are going to follow that with a online gaming session. We'll switch over to our Discord server so that we will basically play the Saga of Space Station Requiem using the GURP system. The Sunday right after it is going to be our Fantasy World and the Tales of Thrugrith, and that is using D&D Beyond or D&D Online. We have a Zoom meeting ID that will be dedicated just to Space Station Requiem meetings. The meeting ID that you logged in now, that's kind of my personal meeting room that I use for whenever I need to talk to students or anything else. But we'll once again go back to a designated Zoom meeting ID for the meetings. We did have some issues with people trying to get into our Zoom meetings that we are adding in a passcode for security. So this is the last time that anybody's going to be able to log into one of our meetings without putting in that extra layer of authentication and security. And those will be email requests only. I am not going to publish them in any public forums. So like how we sent out the email to all the senior staff about today's meeting, that is what we will do, is we will create an email list for members and Starfleet Command and other chapters who wish to join our meetings to be able to come in. Our Discord server, I did put a link, I think yesterday or Friday, that's good for 7 days. Friday, yep. I am up in it. I've heard it kind of ding dong on me. I will drop this PowerPoint into our public and private group. That does have a link again to the Discord meeting and everything else. And as I stated below, Saturday will be Space Station Requiem using GURPS. I like it because it's a generic universal roleplay system that is really easily convertible to any world that you want to run.
I like GURPS.
Yeah, we have some people who are fans of GURPS, and we have some people who are fans of Dungeons and Dragons format. So I decided, since Tales of Thrugrith is fantasy, pure fantasy, that we would use the D&D online program. It's free, called D&D Beyond. They allow you to create characters, maps, and everything else there. And I need to go back because I had a link, deal out of the way. How many had a chance to look at the charter? And does anybody have any questions about our charter? We try to use this January while everybody else in the chapter is on a shore leave, to let the senior staff kind of get together and go over and see, is there anything that is no longer relevant in our charter? Is there something we need to add to be more current with our times? And a lot of that comes from my history of having run other chapters. And when I ran the Joan of Arc, it went almost 15 years without a single update or amendment to the charter or the bylaws.
Who was that person, Lover, that questioned so much?
That's Mikey.
No.
Adamant
Are
Lover.
you
Adamant
the Lover person?
That's Adamant Lover. That's
Yep.
me.
Yeah, that's Adamant Lover. That's
I'm sorry,
Mickey.
Mickey. I was just curious because I saw all the emails.
No, that's
Oh,
me.
so we are getting the pings on there that comments were happening. One of the biggest things that Mikey and I discussed is determining command staff. I do not want to be dictator for life, but I also don't want to put the chapter in any danger of being mismanaged by somebody who's inexperienced or maybe somebody who's hoping to make a quick buck. And these are all based on experiences that I've had to deal with in other nonprofit organizations, where, we ended up having somebody who was a sexual predator on our command staff altogether. And we had another person who made off with our entire treasury of almost $3,000. So I kind of looked back on this history to say, okay, what safeguards do we want to put in before I'm willing to hand my baby over to somebody else? And I will admit it, Space Station Requiem is my baby. So first thing we started off with is they need to meet Starfleet Command's requirements of being a captain in order to be a senior staff member. While I understand that there are some highly emotionally mature 16 and 17-year-olds out there, we're going to take from Starfleet Command and say, no, to be on our senior staff period, you need to be 18 years of age. You need to hold a rank officer, which means you've taken the officer candidate school and have passed, and have passed all the command basics exams. We want to make sure you understand how Starfleet Command works. You need to be a current member. You need to be at least 18 years of age and have a valid email address. When it comes to being the commanding officer, we have opted to add in several requirements, and this has been kind of the biggest change since I published this a year ago.
Okay, now can go back one more. Go back one more. That the whole point there with being 18 years old, you can be on command staff, but as per Starfleet Command, you cannot be a treasurer or anything like that requires, same as you have for number 1, for your next portion there, simply because you have to be of legal age to be able to enter into any contract, hold an account. You have to be legally of age to do that type thing.
Yeah, we decided that we weren't going to try to make that distinction because that would complicate it. So we just said, so anybody to be on our command staff, you don't necessarily have to be a captain rank, but you have to meet the qualifications.
Correct, but what I'm saying is the difference between the 18 years and the 21 years. In most states, to be a treasurer, you have to be 21.
And
so even though being on the command staff at 18, that's fine, but there's some positions you still can't hold.
We have opted that the commanding officer is fiscally responsible, financially responsible for the chapter because it is underneath the Guilds of Requiem organization, which is a nonprofit corporation. So we have to follow the Texas Nonprofit Code of Conduct, and they have said that nobody can be a director that is not 18.
Okay.
And then we add, that if there's any finances involved with Space Station Requiem, that is the commanding officer's responsibility because they are the ones entering into the contract.
Okay.
And I was actually just looking at the Texas website, and in Texas that may be changing to the age of 25.
Oh.
Yeah. You cannot rent a car unless you are 25. There's a lot of things that you cannot do in Texas anymore unless you are 25 years of age. There are a lot of businesses that will not do business with you unless you are 25 years of age. That was a learning curve that we had when we were up at the Shindig. We got a lot of exposure to like the TABC and Texas Department of Health and everything else. And they were telling me that is potentially coming down the pipeline in the state of Texas, that in order to run a nonprofit organization, you have to be 25 years of age. Currently, it is 21, and you have to be a resident of the state of Texas for at least 2 years. So we have taken a lot of this from the state of Texas website on nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, and that is exactly where I was going with the other portion. It depends on the state.
Yep. So because we are in Texas, we do have to follow Texas laws, and they say you have to be a resident of the state of Texas for at least 2 years. And I checked into that and I dug a little bit more, and they said, it's not that you're here 100% of the time, but your primary residence has to be here for 2 years. So we have a lot of winter Texans here that come down in August and they leave in March, but their primary residence is the state of Texas. That's where they vote. That's where they pay their taxes and everything else.
I got friends
so-
there. Yes. Okay. I know
Yeah.
about those snowbirds.
Yeah, so I got qualification on that from the comptroller and from the state of Texas. We do ask that they be able to pass a background check. Mostly our primary concern with that, and this is for future commanders, is do they have a history of theft of money or violent crimes or sex offenses? We are a family environment. We want to make sure that we keep it always family friendly. And the only way that we can do that is by doing a background check. And there is that little asterisk there on sexual offender, because we understand that, you can be married now to the person that you got charged of having a sex offense with because that person happened to be underage. So we are not going to be hardline on that, but we're probably going to be hardline on that because we have had sexual predators in chapters before. They need to be able to have an account with a financial institution. And that's basically because if they can't have an account with a financial institution, there's something wrong.
Right.
We don't want to take the chance or we have a big event, we bring in, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 at BantuckyCon or more, and it never makes it to the bank. Are they constantly writing bad checks? Are they, if they can't manage money, then how can we trust them to manage a chapter? We are going to ask that they have a demonstrated, proven, or otherwise verifiable leadership qualities and capabilities necessary to a nonprofit organization. So if somebody has been in the chapter for a while and they're a manager or a leader in their own organization, and they're demonstrating during our voting process to the group, to everybody, that they have these qualities, then that can leave them up for the running. But most of all, we want them to be good overall moral integrity and having demonstrated in their community with signs and shows of respect, dignity, and honor to others. If I hear racial slurs coming from any of my members, I will go nuclear on them. I come from, I have a great uncle who was Black, and it was very hard growing up in the 70s. Hearing all the negative things that happened to him, and in the light of everything that happened last year, I'm not going to tolerate it in my chapter period. I've already removed one person from the public group for posting some political inflammatory stuff, and then their immediate next post had to do with some very pornographic stuff and racial slurs. I'm not going to deal with that. The one that Mikey and I have been talking about is whether they should have served in a leadership capacity in Guilds of Requiem, or if we want them having to demonstrate it because of our duality of parent organizations. It is very important that anybody who runs Space Station Requiem at least understands how Guilds of Requiem works, because anybody who joins Starfleet Command on Space Station Requiem they have that little bit extra bonus of being a part of our network. In any events that we do or anything else that we have going on, online activities, specials, the Guilds of Requiem will frequently buy bulk and divide for people, that gets them into that network. We did decide that we're going to give Space Station Requiem 4 years of maturing, actually 5 years of maturing, before we start a vote of confidence on the commanding officer. My goal is to have somebody else primed and ready by October of 2024 to throw their hat into the ring and say, I want to be the commanding officer.
That's later than what you originally said.
Yeah, we had a lot of learning lessons this last year on a lot of things. Originally we were going to do, I think 2021 or 2022. 22. But we had a lot of learning lessons that we have decided that, especially with Guilds of Requiem itself going through the change that we are of going from a sole proprietorship to a nonprofit corporation.
I totally agree.
We will be getting our 501c3 community resource organization and educational organization. That I don't want to hand this over to somebody who is totally clueless on how the nonprofit world works.
Good decision.
I just think that would, while I may be relieved at having one more thing off of my plate, I think that would actually cause me more anxiety of wondering how are they destroying the chapter.
I don't want to for you.
Yes, ma'am.
As I'm looking here and I'm seeing 75% approval with no less than 15 abstaining, who all is voting?
That is anybody who is a Starfleet Command member.
Okay.
So that's not going to be anybody from Guilds of Requiem. If they're just Guilds of Requiem and they're not involved in Starfleet Command at all, they don't have the right to vote. That's one of the benefits of membership in Starfleet Command is it gives you a voting voice.
Okay.
That's true.
And that was kind of one of our first mistakes that we made when we first started in Starfleet Command, is I had a lot of people trying to tell me how to run the chapter that had no clue how Starfleet Command worked, or even how a fan club organization worked. I had a lot of unsolicited advice from other Guilds of Requiem members that I just basically said, you know what, you want to have a say on how Space Station Requiem runs, then you join Starfleet Command.
Okay.
I
I was just wondering because I know some groups, we do have chapters out there that vote for their commanding officer, and they do it every so many years or whatever. But it's usually, some have only the top officers, the chiefs of staff, etc., get to vote. Some have the entire ship gets to vote. And I just wasn't sure where you were coming with the 75-15. Yeah.
We have earlier in the document, I believe we spell out what a member is of Space Station Requiem, and that it does involve membership in Starfleet Command. And these are the rights and responsibilities that you have as a member in Starfleet Command. And
what does the Mississippi do?
Huh?
What is that, Jeff?
What does the Mississippi do? The Mississippi, what do they do?
I point my finger at somebody and say, you're now in command.
Love it.
No, seriously, I stepped away. And I gave everybody on the ship an option to step up. And my husband was kind enough to say, my husband was kind enough to say, well, if you're going away, I guess I'll take it. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound very encouraging. Well, the next year then he stepped up.
Yep.
The next year then he stepped up. Neither one of us can run the ship. So I put it up there again. Who wants to run the ship? And Rhonda stepped up.
Okay, and actually, I have a special word that we use for this, because she didn't necessarily volunteer, but she was voluntold. that if somebody had to command the ship,
That's how I got my guild master. They got voluntold.
right? Somebody had to command the ship, and it couldn't be Rose or I. And so if the ships wanted to stay active, somebody was going to step up. And
I'm
you know,
gonna
you're the
write that
highest
down,
ranking
Ed.
member right now. So
Yeah, a lot of my guild masters got voluntold. Hey, you're the only person I have that is
That was Ed,
very
wasn't
experienced
Yeah.
in this area. Congratulations, you're a guild master.
You know what, Robin? That's true, because I can't tell you how many emails I have that said, Jeff, you're doing this.
He gets a lot of emails. Hey, Jeff, I need this done. Hey, Jeff, I need that done.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Robin.
That's okay. But yeah, we decided that every 2 years we'll hold a vote of confidence. Once we get to 2014 and we are 2024 or 2025, then we'll decide, you know, probably every 4 years is probably when we will have open elections versus just having a vote of confidence. I do need to write in here that anyone can call a vote of confidence at any time on the commanding officer. But I was kind of looking at historically and all the clubs that I've been in. Usually the president of a club ends up being the president of the club until they say, I can't do this no more. Somebody else needs to do this. That's kind of where the where this has come from, is trying to giving people the option to either just walk away or to be involved.
Now, can the members do a vote of confidence on any departmental head or just the captain?
That we need to add in here. That I'm going to put this on here because right now all we have is just the commanding officer, because I do not officially have any senior staff. I do have a lot of members in different departments, but I don't have anybody who's officers to put in charge of my departments.
Hint,
Jan, actually, no, we because Jan is on the senior staff of the Masamune. We decided that she would not play a departmental head role in Space Station Requiem. We felt that would be a conflict of interest. Same way if Robert
Ed,
comes.
y'all have mine within the week.
Well, you've had some health challenges, this along with me. But I also told Robert that if he ever takes on a senior staff position in the Battleborn, I think that's who he's on in Starfleet International, that he would need to step down as the XO. I feel that is just taking on too much responsibility and spreading yourself too thin.
Okay.
So that was officially everything that I have. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns about stuff that I went over earlier, I know I kind of went through it fast because I try to keep my actual meetings to about an hour to allow for just open Q&A and people to just kind of to talk.
I will tell Mikey, thank you for helping you.
My pleasure.
So I don't know if anybody else has, I am unashamedly, have attitude on some things. So just an FYI. Uniforms, there it is. We went through and we found a couple of jackets that we like. It's going to take it a moment for this to pop up. Some of our departments decided that they want to do just a department color in the center with blacks on the sides. Some decided that they wanted to do 2 different tones. This one happens to be the engineering one. And I have actually found kind of like a reflective material, a reflective yellow. In kind of the thought process behind that is somebody in engineering needs to be visible no matter what, no matter what's happening. So with this style of jacket, we're able to either straight cut it or we can tailor it in for the female hourglass. I actually, yeah, I know some of us are pears and apples.
I'm a fan.
but I actually have this cut of jacket, and I may stop sharing my deal so that everybody can see it.
Yeah. Come up
So
there on
my
your-
biker background of my father and having me on the back of a Harley every summer is definitely coming through. I actually have this jacket. It's just above my hips. It's very comfy. It's, you know, easily modifiable and looks good on pretty much every single body shape. But it also gives us the opportunity to, let me step forward a little bit, that this panel can be a different color, offset color. It can be lightweight. Mine's actually a leather jacket, so I don't get to wear it that much. I do enjoy being able to wear it when I can. But yeah, and I know Mike rides motorcycles too, so he can attest to how comfortable motorcycle jackets are and how versatile they are. And there's this really cool thing on them that every woman loves
Pockets.
that we don't get to see much of. I've got like 6 pockets on this. I've got 2 on the outside and 4 on the inside on the liner.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of talked about it and said, hey, let's, you know, what can we do to kind of help us stand out apart while still giving a nod to a lot of different fandoms. And then we found another pattern that is a more tailored look and is kind of a nod to, oh, I need to share my screen again. She just reminded me I didn't share my screen. So y'all can't see what I just put up here.
I can.
She can, because she's sitting right behind me. But we kind of felt that this was a nod to the Monster Maroons in that it has this little piece of double button across the front. So we wanted to have fun with it. We wanted to show off how unique we are in our fandom. I think this one I actually have it colored correctly. And the fact that we do have a storyline. Yeah, this one is colored more correctly where this is the gold piping that goes down.
I
And
like
then-
that.
Yeah. And it's got the color all the way across, and it'll have gold buttons, and they actually fit really well and can be tailored really well to any body shape.
Do you have somebody local that can do that?
Myself and Mikey and Desiree also. We all do our own cosplay costumes. Janet is a belly dancer, and she sews all of her tribal costumes. Desiree is also a belly dancer, but she also does a lot of reenactment. So she sews. I do a lot of reenactment. If you have ever seen any pictures of any of my gowns, I think I only have one gown that, I don't know. It's kind of it's store bought, but at the same token, I had to modify it. I ended up having to tailor it for myself because they did their conversions from inches to centimeters wrong, and it ended up being way too big. Let's see here. I think I have a picture of, where is it at? I think it's going to be in the other one. Where do I have the Joan of Arc gears at? I used to make all of the uniforms for the Joan of Arc. So anytime we had special events and somebody needed a new uniform, I did all of the tailoring to it. So that is going to be 2013. Oops, not Josu. JOA years. I'll have to see if I can find them, but I downloaded a bunch of pictures from the Joan of Arc, 2013. There it is. We had a lot of people that would just buy their stuff online, and a lot of other people that either myself or Margaret made the cost made all the uniforms for the Joan of Arc, including our own formal, women's formal, and we made insurrection whites for everybody for the 20th anniversary. Yeah, we did a lot of sewing. In 2012, we did a lot of sewing for our 20th anniversary in 2013.
I think the only problem that you're going to find with that is people being able to get their actual measurements correct.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we brought up, that and that's always a challenge, is them getting their measurements correct. One thing that I found is that if somebody's got a shirt and a pair of pants that fits them perfectly, I have them send it to me, and then I get the measurements off of it and I mail it back to them. Is how we did that in years past.
I'm gonna have to get going too after this.
I absolutely hate trying to
Yeah.
buy anything online or
Oh,
anything
yeah,
else where it says, oh yeah, here's your measurements. It's like, well, this is the closest thing you've got.
Yeah, because I had so many health challenges in 2012, I actually had somebody else make my my original gown, and I ended up having to have it very heavily modified. And y'all are going to see kind of how big I was in some of the, yeah, this was one of our meetings from 2013, just so y'all have an idea of how much weight I actually lost as we progressed throughout the year. I do not see our anniversary party in there. I wonder what year they put it on. But yes, that was my sharing my screen.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
that was me in 2013.
Wow, that's that reminds me of a picture of myself in 2011.
Yeah, I look at these pictures and I'm like, wow, was that really me back then?
Because there's one folder up there at the top that says 2013 pics.
Yeah, I think that's the one that just opened it and dumped everything in there. No, I think that's everything that happened that
Yeah, I was
year.
gonna say it
I may have to open 2012, but I'll find a picture of my uniform. This was really fun. We were involved with the zombie walks down in Corpus Christi. And I've been trying to get Chris Ambrose to join, because he is a phenomenal makeup artist.
And that's you
That is me
on the left, right?
in the red.
In the red.
Yep, I was wearing that dead red shirt.
Wow.
So we try to keep it fun, as much as fun as we can.
So how much fun was going out and buying a whole new wardrobe after losing all that weight?
It has been a challenge, because I see something now, I remember back, because I lost the weight so fast. I see in my mind, I still sometimes see myself that big, and I'll see an outfit. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cute. Okay, I need to order it as a 6X. And then it arrives and I'm swimming in it. And so it's just kind of like, oops.
I have the
Yeah,
opposite.
I'm
issue.
on the small size too, and I absolutely hate shopping for clothes.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. Is I at one point I was 2012 is not in here, huh?
I have
At
the
one
opposite
point I was
issue.
down to 102 pounds.
Yeah.
And there is a joke behind that, because we were at Walmart and I was wanting to go out and eat Japanese, and both boys were like, no, we don't want Japanese. We want to go eat Mexican. And actually, right there's a picture of the two boys at our May birthday bash. And so Christopher points to the shirt in the girls section. We're talking little girls section. Yeah, it's hard to believe my boys were that little. And he says, I bet you buying that shirt and us going out to eat at a Mexican restaurant that you can't fit that shirt. And if you can fit that shirt, then I'll buy that shirt for you, Mom, and we'll go eat Japanese. Rule number 1, never make a bet that you can't win.
Mouse.
Right.
He's out there cleaning his car off.
Okay.
And yeah, so I won the bet. And I still have the Hello Kitty tank top. He wanted me to try on. And we ate Japanese. And so, yeah, this, yeah, he quickly learned. That's the old crew. That was back when I first joined the Joan of Arc. And people still had hair. I make fun of them. I'm trying to figure. There's got to be one of them that has the picture of the gown. Nope, they don't have it. Wow. I'll have to see if I can find the CD of photos. That was the Christmas party right before I started losing everything. And my clothes no longer fit. Yeah, I spent a lot of time altering clothes. A lot of time. I'd get the uniform to fit, and I'd have it fitting 2 weeks before the event so that I could focus on the event. And we get to the event and it didn't fit no more.
Wow.
So yeah. Yeah, it is messy.
It is freezing rain here and we are expecting snow at any minute.
You can keep
Oh,
it.
you can keep it.
Keep it.
It's yeah. We're supposed to have full wet rain tomorrow.
We got snow here in Indy.
We had it earlier. We had, what, 6 to 8 inches, which it's not been warm enough for it to melt off yet.
Oh boy.
Mhm.
And now we're expecting another 6 to 8 on top of this with the freezing rain. So
It is actually snowing now out there, by the way.
It is
Oh,
snowing now.
okay.
Wow. There, you guys are in Indiana too, right?
no, we're in Iowa.
You're in Iowa. Oh, hey, you're north of me. Okay. Man,
Yes.
I could have stopped and saw y'all when I went through there in October of 2019.
Oh yeah, we're right near we're
Yeah.
in Davenport, which is where I-80 and I-74 cross. We're at literally the crossroads of the country is like close to us.
Yeah, I went through there a lot of times when I was driving truck. That the guy that I drove with, that was his favorite place to go.
You've been to the truck stop then, I'm sure.
Yes, that is a very fun truck stop to go to.
The world's largest truck stop.
World's largest truck stop.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
20 minutes from our house.
It's isn't it almost like 100 acres now?
Something like that, yeah, with the museum and everything there, yeah.
With the museum and everything.
Road trip.
These days I need to get up that way. I have a ancestor that was in the Davenport area at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the progression of me from March 2009 to August 2013, and by January I weighed 102.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy crow.
Yeah, a lot of people, even my aunt looks at the photos, and my whole family looks at them, and they're like, "Are you sure that's the same you?"
Before we got married, and I'm sure Ed's not going to be upset with me sharing this, he had gained a lot of weight,
Mhm.
and we go to Riverside to Trek Fest
Yeah.
every year. And at one year, I took a picture of him standing under a banner.
Mhm.
The year before we got married, we went back and I took a picture of him standing under the exact same banner. And you had lost how much?
70 pounds. And
Wow.
I'm trying to find the photo here on Facebook and it won't load fast enough. But
He took the picture and took the two and put them back to back. And people were asking, who is that you're standing with? I was like, no, that's me before and me after.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't, people don't realize, how much sometimes our weight becomes a part of our identity until it's gone.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Who else do I
I'm
have?
trying to find it and I cannot find that photo.
The weight thing goes the other way around. I mean, I'm 5'7". I graduated high school 125 pounds. I was skinny. And to
Mhm.
this day, I still in my head see myself
As the little,
for that same weight, probably about 140. And I weigh 215.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting here going, I'm looking at clothes and stuff and I see, cute things. And then I'm all like, yeah, but it does, it says it's an extra large or 2X, but it's not in the plus size section. So it's not going to fit. It'll
Mhm.
fit, top part of my torso, but once it hits my hips, it does, they don't, shirts and dresses, they don't go any further. And I'm sitting here going, I look at myself some days and fully clothed and I'm like, hey, I look pretty good. And then, like I go take a shower and I'm just all like, oh yeah, that's right, I got rolls. Is I completely forget that I weigh as much as I do.
Yeah.
And so it also makes it hard to want to diet and exercise because I'm thinking, well, I'm fine. I don't need to lose, there's part of me that says I don't need to lose weight. I don't need to exercise. I'm doing good. Then I see myself in the mirror and say, shh, I need to.
And the whole thing, and I'm not stepping on any toes and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, okay? But the whole thing about dieting, it doesn't work. Granted, okay, you will eat less while you are dieting, but once you have gained the weight you wish to achieve, you go right back to what you were doing before. It comes right back.
Healthier, but I like my cookies.
Yeah, okay. Ed is doing a program right now that I still get to have whatever I want. Paula, I know you're laughing behind that mask. I get to have whatever I want to eat, but I just have to be careful.
I've had surgery.
He has to be careful in what he's doing. I'm going to let him explain it to you because it's a little bit, I mean, he has to take an active role. But he can tell you a little bit about it. And it's better than dieting. It really is.